after both sides got there in the end with 3-1 victories in Europe on Thursday night. West Ham United take the trip up to Anfield, a place where we've won once in over 60 years as a football club. That is a great way to start things. And of course, after Liverpool beat Lask 3-1 last night, a second half comeback. And after West Ham beat TSC 3-1 with a second half comeback last night, both sides have had a pretty decent start to the season and are looking to push on after the international break. I hope you are aware of the match preview of West Ham or Liverpool versus West Ham. I've got a Liverpool fan here to discuss our opponents. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, Jake. Great to be on. Hopefully you're all well too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll start from the start of the season then, Paul. How have you assessed things so far?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a tricky sort of start, a way to you don't know, do you, at the start of the season what team. In the certain teams, you think, is it good to play them at certain times of the season? Obviously, Chelsea had a fair few injuries. They hadn't signed their two wonder midfield players who were turning out. One's not even kicked the ball yet, and the other one is not that wonderful at the moment. So the draw away there, I think Liverpool started off well in that game, but then Chelsea was certainly the far better side in the second half. But of course, they've won all the draw. Then they've won all the games, the Bournemouth game. But for the last 5 games, since that Chelsea game, including the game last evening, they've gone behind. Now, this is not a new thing. This was happening. That's last season and the season before. They just seemed to keep going behind. Well, when they went on that amazing run, I think when they between April and April 3 years ago, when Liverpool won, I think 36 games out of 38, not in one season, but won 36 out of 38 in a couple of draws, the most amazing run. They were doing that a lot, but you can't keep doing that because this is a side that it's got lots of potential, but it seems like the forward line, whether it's Núñez or Gakpo, but perhaps say Núñez, Diaz and Salah, are getting them out of the mire a little bit. And 4 games out of 5, they've gone behind. I mean, in the turnaround against Wolves, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the game last Saturday. I mean, it was horrendous from Liverpool in the first half. Away to Newcastle, it was very poor in the first half, but they got over the line and they won those. So there's fours and against, but I think they certainly be very happy with the fact they've played 5 games this season in the league, won 4 of them, and then the other games away to Chelsea, which is a draw. You'd normally think, oh, that's a. Looking at Chelsea since then, you think, that was that's 2 points dropped really, because everyone seems to be even you battered Chelsea,
even we beat them exactly. See, that's the sentiment you got to take. But no, I think it's been interesting with Liverpool, because I hadn't realised that sort of going behind, and sort of coming back now that Newcastle game. I thought you were quite fortunate, to win that one in the end. And we were in the pub in Stratford watching it where Wolves scored against Liverpool inside 8 minutes, whatever it was, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And look, on paper, it's a fantastic start, as you said, and you've got to take some confidence from that. Do you think, obviously, there's been a lot of publicity about the midfield situation, specifically Henderson and everything that's happened there, but you've brought in some new players to fill those gaps. It was overdue, I think most Liverpool fans would say. And do you think they've slotted in well?
Yeah, I think, of course, they played a couple of the games, of course, with a big majority with 10 men. So obviously against Newcastle, that was an hour against 10 men. It was about 40 minutes, 35 minutes against Bournemouth. So but the player who I think he's a superstar, Szoboszlai. I mean, Hungarian captain at the age of 22, he just looks wonderful. What a wonderful player! That technically, the energy, his energy from the first minute to, I think he's in the top 3 or 4 players, possibly 5 in the country, of how the distance he covers. I didn't realise his speed. I think he's got like the 3rd highest sort of sprint speed in the Premier League, and he looks wonderful. McAllister, of course, he was sent off in Bournemouth game, so, and he did look. It looked like somebody who played so many feet above sea level last week, travelled back all the way back to the UK to play, and he looked like that player because he looked poor, in that first half. But McAllister, I think, exactly what they need. They need, somebody at the back, somebody who's just steady. He's not going to do wonderful, wonderful things, but I'm not saying like a Gerrard or someone like that. But every team needs him. But it's supposed like he will be that. I think that superstar. I think he's going to score a dozen goals this season. Technically, he's wonderful. Like I said, they obviously brought in the new Dutch, another 6'3", 6'4" Dutch player, another midfielder. He made his debut last season. Whether how he settles down, Endo is maybe a stopgap, but it is a new Liverpool side. Up front, got no word. They couldn't compete with anyone. The front. I mentioned Nunes. Obviously Jota and Gakpo to come in, but obviously Salah, who just seems to be getting better. Even when he's not scored, that's 12 games on the trot. He's either scored or assisted. I mean, but even when he came on last night, I think he goes under the radar. How good he is! How first touch, controlling the ball, and just setting up goals for other players. So it's not just about him scoring goals, but up front, wonderful. Against Wolves, you could say, it looks like the defense has never played together. Well, they haven't, because it was a completely new, just about all new back four. Even obviously the Robertson played, but we've had injuries to Konate and Van Dijk, 2 games suspended. Gomez.
And I think as well, the difference from last year, I think it was widely reported, and from everybody involved, it wasn't good enough last year. That's not where Liverpool wants to be. No way. And I'd expect them to go on and win the Europa League this year, of course.
Yeah.
If they get past the mighty West Ham, of course.
Well, that's the big one. I see those people.
I
see those people who take money, and if you get things right, they give it back. They say Brighton are the second best chance of before yesterday.
Not after last night.
Before that. But I mean, that's a competition. And when you think, I know we're going off subject here, perhaps we'll come back to touch on it later, but if we look at the Champions League, of course I'm biased, but if I look at the teams in the Champions League, I think that's not a strong Champions League, is it?
No.
It doesn't look. I mean, you've got Man City. Behind Man City in the Champions League, obviously Real Madrid, they know how to win a major.
And because there's a proper group of death this year as well, at least one of them is going to drop out as well. Yeah,
and I look at those teams, I think, well, somebody said, oh yeah, but if you're going to think Liverpool's going to win it, whoever's going to win it, what about the teams finishing third? They're dropping.
Yeah,
what are to worry about? I can't see anything too much, does it seem like, there's not a proper Barcelona, AC Milan and anymore, and PSG? Well, if they're not going to win the Champions League with Messi and Neymar,
they're never going to win it.
They're never going to win it. Well, probably win it this season now, but yeah, that Europa League, and what going to Dublin for the final. I bet you'd like the idea. I bet your dad sorting. I bet he's saving up now, isn't he? For those tickets?
Of course. Yeah. Well, if we meet you in the final, it's only going one way, and you know that full well, Paul, don't you?
Yeah. I would. Well, West Ham. Well, they always give Liverpool. They give them. They cause them problems. I know. Obviously, the game a couple of years ago. At your place. I think that was that
3-2 Zuma had Liverpool capitulate.
Yeah, and of course you had 7 games in the last 8. You have come out worse, but
we won't talk about that.
But that was the toughest game Liverpool had that season. That's the season Liverpool had 92 points and didn't win the league. But
it's still coming back to me now because West Ham stopped Liverpool winning the league.
That's it. Yeah, mind you, a couple of years before, because Liverpool had 97 points and didn't win the league. It's amazing how teams used to win the league with 78 and things. That's how it used to be. And when you look at how things have changed, I think they talk about the Arsenal Invincibles. They have 90 points, and by far the best team in that league. Just said like Liverpool, 92, 97 points, never won the league. Astonishing, really. But going back to what I was saying, that they need to. Because it's going to have, you can't just keep coming from behind in these matches. You can't go 1-0 down, but they do look good when they're behind. They do look like they're capable, like they have been over the last few years, perhaps not last year, but over the years, previous 3 or 4 years. If they're behind at halftime, you still think, a bit like Man City, this game's a long way from being over. But I think he's a superstar. They're going to score goals, but it'd be nice with Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, maybe Trent, where he played. Because when he played last, when he got the injury a couple of games ago, when he played against Villa, he was unbelievable. Playing this sort of role. But it is a new midfield. They've got money to spend. They didn't spend it all. So in this, in the winter, maybe we might go in again. But I think they're going to have a lot more money as well, because I think Salah will go next season for, I don't know, 150 million, 120. Somebody with 1 year left on the contract, you've got to sell, But I also think that Klopp is, if he's given us a whole season to plan who they're going to get,
true, that's
a lot easier to cope with, isn't it? Rather than last minute, and But I wavered off the question there, but good start. Yeah, we're happy with that. But some of the performances are literally chalk and cheese. They look fantastic, and they look very ordinary, especially Wolves and Newcastle in the first half.
Yeah, a little bit of inconsistency, which I suppose was probably to be expected with the amount of wholesale changes that have been made to that team as well. We'll take some comments and see who's watching. Team Part Louis, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Robert as well. I hope you are about to watch. Yeah, the under-21s are playing tonight, aren't they? So that's good. Hopefully they do all right. Sharky as well. Hope you are keeping well, my friend. A little bit about West Ham, from what you've seen so far.
Yeah.
What have you made of the Hammers?
Yeah. I'm looking at this. It seems to be 3-1 every time I look at the West Ham score. It seems to be 3-1. Whether it was beating Brighton, beating Chelsea, then you lost. That was a disappointment. You're 1-0 up against Man City, but they had a trouble holding.
It is Man City.
Exactly. How do you think that game went? Because Man City have this. They have these games every so often when they look fantastic but can't score. And I thought, is this just one of these? The Hammers go 1-0 up. But did you go to that game?
Yeah.
Right.
Initially, I walked out, and because I was a bit, about as soon as I walked out, but that's probably because there was a belief there half time we were 1-0 up, and I thought we could have got something. But the reality of it is we came up against the best team in the world, and we got and we took a lead into half time. And yes, we had some, and yes, we were fortunate. Yes, Haaland missed a couple of chances that on another day he would have put in his sleep. But I mean, you can only play and you can only deal with what's put in front of you. And and to be fair, we did just run out of steam at the end, which there's no shame in that.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got, was it 10 points from 5 games? Yeah. And if I offered you those before the kickoff on the first game, you would have absolutely taken those.
We were fearful because we had Bournemouth who we didn't know what was going to happen on the opening day. Chelsea at home, maybe. Brighton, who until then we hadn't beaten in 15 years, and then Luton in their first home game in donkeys in the Premier League, and then all of a sudden Man City and then Liverpool. So we were thinking, where's points coming from here? So we've had, and 100% I'd take the start we've had, and if we can nick a point off of you up there, I think that's a fantastic return going into a game against Sheffield United at the end of the month where we should be beaten. So whatever happens on Sunday, I still count it as a good start to the season. But from your perspective, so this is a game you've got to win if you want to be back up there.
Absolutely, they have to. They have to start well. They have to start. You know what it's like going to Anfield. Sometimes you go there, and I think I read seen an interview with Arteta when he played there. I think for Arsenal, when he just said, "I just didn't know what to do." He said, this red mist was, and that's what Liverpool have to do. God, get that first goal. I said to somebody the other day, I said, "There's going to be some games this season when Liverpool play well and it all goes for a little bit like Bournemouth last season, they're going to be putting 5s and 6s and 7s into teams. I don't mean West Ham, but that can happen. But also because of this new midfield, which of course at the end of the day that is the engine of any team, it could go wrong. Obviously the players, they need to find their place. Just want to be a little less last season the injuries were horrendous. It was just constant. In having Diaz back, he's like a new sign. He missed 2/3 of last season, and I love the fact that you think, well, the games now, I know one was a penalty, but they also, Diaz scored, Nunez scored, Salah scored. The goals sort of spread around. I think, like I keep saying his name, Dominic Szoboszlai, I think there's goals from him. So there's going to be. I like this team. I like this team that is young, because at the end of the day, the players they got rid of, Keita, always injured. Oxlade-Chamberlain, always injured. Milner was, I think, 49 when they got rid of him. So obviously Henderson, he was 33 when he went for Fabinho. I think everyone said that this last season he'd lost his legs. Now all of a sudden you've got a midfielder covering it, because they played games last season against Wolves, against Brighton, when they were just running through Liverpool's midfield. And oddly enough, a couple of seasons before, it was Liverpool's midfield that had all the energy, all the pace, all the power. And when they'd lost the ball, they were just like a swarm. Henderson would be covering right back if Trent had gone forward. It was unbelievable. But it was almost like that season, the season before last, when they played all the games, of course, not won the 2 trophies, but they played. They didn't take their foot off, because they lost out in the league on the last game of the season when Villa sort of capitulated with those 3 goals in 10 minutes, whatever, against City. It went all the way to the Champions League final. So, and it's almost like that was it. And then the following season, it was like they got nothing left. And I must admit, I didn't expect so many players to go. I didn't expect all of those players to go. But it's like
neither did I.
It's ripped out, and I think there's more to come.
I think it's similar at West Ham as well. And I think what you've just mentioned about Fabinho probably links to us going on up the road at Old Trafford with Casemiro as well. But just with a West Ham sense of things, it's been a complete change. It's been a complete change with Liverpool's midfield, and then when you look at West Ham's midfield as well, where one player, number 41, has gone, and we've signed 3 players to replace him who've slotted in really, really well. And you've got Alvarez, who's playing that number 41 role. He's sitting in front of that back 4, and he is going to sweep things up and protect things. You've got Ward-Prowse, who has had a sensational start to life in East London. How he didn't get that injury call up, I'll never know. He is really shoving it back into Gareth Southgate's face. And we've signed this Kudus from Ajax, who played last night, and who I thought was very, very impressive as well. So I think it's 2 sides that have almost found a new identity with new midfields and look better for it.
Yeah, because you have to have that energy, don't you? I mean, when you think of, I don't know whether it's the certain players who are available or whether he decided to change his style, but Liverpool's midfield is now a more technical midfield. I keep coming back to Dominic, suppose like him and McAllister. When you think of Wijnaldum and Henderson and Fabinho, you wouldn't say. Let's compare them to Man City, with a De Bruyne and maybe a Foden if he's going, or in Bernardo Silva. A completely different type of a midfield. When you lose the ball against Man City, I think somebody once said like Liverpool, they bludgeon you to death. It's the way they play. Man City are more, should we say, more like surgical. You lose the ball. I mean, I've been to I think the last 3 games at Anfield when Liverpool played Man City, and even lose the ball to them. When are you going to get it back? But I used to love those games. There's a quality on that pitch when Man City, when I've seen them at Anfield, the quality, all apart from Kyle Walker, who was absolutely horrendous. I mean, how on earth he's a Premier League player, I never know. Couldn't pass the ball from me to you if you stood next to me. I mean, that bad. But anyway, but now he's replaced them with perhaps a more technical midfield, maybe. And I also worry if Henderson's now gone, he's the captain. Milner, he was like the vice captain, he's gone. But then I think, well, hang on a minute. We left back Robertson, he's the Scottish captain. We've got Van Dijk, he's the Dutch captain. We've got Salah, the Egyptian captain. We've got Szoboszlai, who's the Hungarian captain. This even Endo captains Japan. So we've got 5 players there who captain the national team. So then they have no issue with leadership, because you do need a leader. I'm looking forward to Sun. It's not on TV, is it?
It's not. No, it's crap. Honestly, no. What they've done is them really smart lot of Sky have sat down and gone, I know what we're going to do. We're going to put the North London derby on at 2:00, and then we're going to have Peter Drury on for the main event at 4:30 for what is it, Sheffield United versus Newcastle or something. Who on earth decides that?
I know, because with the history of the clubs and the support, Liverpool West Ham is always a game, isn't
it? Surely, if it was me and you sitting this down, and I know we're biased a little bit, you put Liverpool West Ham on at 2:00, and then the main event, North London derby, Spurs Arsenal at 4:30.
That's it. That's exactly what you do. I see Sky, the Premier League, looking at maybe another 70, 80 games in a couple of seasons time, which I mean, it's always nice. I mean, I've always said, you should be going to support your teams and never, but it's nothing better than, well, if you're a little bit older than you are, Jake, going to the pub and watching it, or just in whatever. But yeah, as far as Sunday goes, it could be anything. Like say the two newish sort of looking sides are playing slightly different
Should
ways.
Be interesting.
They say Trent is back, he's available. He won't. I don't think he'll start. I think he'll start on bench. I noticed they Liverpool played it slightly. Bichette played right back last evening. I don't think it worked particularly, but I liked him because the season went for Fabinho. He sort of took Fabinho's place for, I think, played, and he was brilliant. He was fantastic. He was Liverpool's best midfielder last season. He's there to stay because I think of Liverpool, their midfield from now on. McAllister, especially in the big games, McAllister always plays. So does Dominic Szoboszlai. They always play. But who's the other player going to be? Thiago, he's still injured. He's another one who will go at the end of the season because you just, unfortunately, cannot rely on him. Or Curtis Jones, who's done okay. Is it Endo? I don't think so. Is it, but
so then again, so basically it's just filling that last gap of that midfield that currently is looking very, very good. Right, final question before we move on to the prediction. Yes or no, will Núñez play on Sunday or will he get dropped?
Well, I would absolutely say he would play. But he started last evening and Gakpo never, and he likes Gakpo, gives him something different in midfield. So that's the only thing I'm swearing, because he's been great, Núñez, chaos, because yes, we know he is not in front of goal. You're never sure what you're going to get, but my God, you don't. And I think he scored the winner in the game last season at Anfield with his head, but I love him in that team because this is the pace up front. I just love the pace. You've always got a chance with Salah, him, and Núñez because the pace. There's always something's going to happen, even if they're playing not well. A ball over the top, and it can turn the game.
Yeah, I think he's really starting to come into his own there. And the most important question is Richie Howson the West Ham fan, Paul's favourite darts player?
No, I tell you what. No, there's a question. Who's asked that? I said, Mr. Richard Cobb. We love the Owl, and I love his walk on. Of course, he's made 3 finals in the seniors event. So we love Richie. Of course, he has to be one of my favourite players.
Just remember where you are here, Paul. As well.
And of course he had a few a few EastEnders stars supporting him up in York. He's popular. I think great Richie Howson. What a lovely bloke, wonderful player. Loves a bit of fishing. Not so sure about his snooker ability, but if you look at, I think somebody might have had his mobile phone and said I hit a 147. No, he didn't. No. What a superstar Richie Howson is. Yeah,
there we go. Brilliant. Shike says Arsenal Spurs. See, this is the dilemma I've got now. I'm gonna, I like to sit down and watch the North London derby every season because I think it's always tasty. It's going to be a nice game. It's two good sides coming up against each other, but no, they've put our game on at the same time. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I will be filing a formal complaint. Right, let's go on to some score predictions. 1-1, 2-2 says Robert. Southampton taking the lead. That's not good. It's the game. It's not on TV. It's not on Sky. They have prioritised Arsenal Spurs for some weird apparent reason. 2-1 West Ham says Shike. I like a bit of confidence. This, if we would come out of there stealing 3 points from Anfield, that'd be the second time we've done that in over 60 years. And of course, the only other time we did that was famously that 3-0 victory in 2015 in that crazy season. Mark Noble slotted it home.
I remember that because I'm thinking that you were on. Didn't you beat? You won about 2 or 3 games on a try against really top side, and you, great, not so great at the time. That was when that was evil because Liverpool had obviously not won the league the year before with the great Luis Suarez, and then the following season it was, oh dear, Suarez had gone, but we had Balotelli. Anyway.
The only reason anyone should remember Balotelli is just Martin Tyler's commentary in 2012. That's just the only reason. But anyway, we're getting off track. A prediction, Paul.
Oh, before and I think you probably know this, but that Balotelli assist for Aguero, that's the only assist he had for Man City that season.
Really?
That's what a crucial assist, isn't it?
What a crucial assist.
Yeah. Look, we mentioned it earlier on. West Ham like a 3-1, and so I'm going to go 3-1. Unfortunately, not for the Hammers, because I think Liverpool going to struggle with it. And do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if you go 1-0 up as well. But pretty confident Liverpool are going to win the game. I'm going to go 3-1 because I think you will score, and I'm going to say it again. You might even be the first goal.
Yeah, I think after our good start to the season, we even had some confidence thinking we might be able to pick up a point against Man City last week, and we haven't done that for a long time as a football club, and I think we're in a position now where, listen, Thursday night wasn't amazing, and I think, for both sides, it was a B team. For West Ham, for Liverpool, both sides B team, won 3-1 and did it in a similar fashion. And I could see a 3-1, but I've got to back the boys. I think we're going to point. I think 1-1 or 2-2 would be a fair.
Okay, that's what you're looking for. Yeah,
could be a fair reflection. Yeah, I do think there's going to be goals in this game, so I'm swaying more towards a 2-2. But then I'm thinking, where are we going to score 2 goals away at Anfield? But we'll see. I'm hoping for a draw. But if we lose, we put in a good performance, a good shift, and I don't think anybody is going to grumble too much as long as we beat Sheffield United the week after at home, which should be an expectation.
I mean, each team they've got their targets, haven't they? I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh, a joke." It's a joke. Man United fan saying, "Oh yeah, we've done this in 1997, whatever it was, but we ended up winning the." I said, "Yeah, but in those days you could win the league with high 70. You can't
exactly."
Effectively, Chelsea and United, they can probably afford one more, and that's it. They're out. I mean, not they're going to win anyway because they're nowhere near good enough. But in the past, you can have a dodgy run. But now, if you're looking at where West Ham are going to be, if I said to you on the first day of the season, where would you be happy with West Ham? If I said to you 10th, would have you took 10th?
Yes, with a good Europa League run.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah. So 3-1. I'm going to go for now.
Good stuff. Well, not so good stuff.
No, but we get it.
Yeah, we do. Right, let's take some of your final comments before we start wrapping things up. Steve's going for 3-1 to West Ham with some surprised emojis, which is probably why you're cautiously optimistic. Well, not cautiously, very optimistic with that. Steve, if that happens, then I will be amazed, but happily amazed in that sense. Shug says, Balotelli loves setting off fireworks inside his own home. Chris Kavanagh is the referee, and David Coote is on VR. Don't worry, Paul, because if it's getting on a bit, 70-80 minutes, it's 1-1. They'll just
chuck one in. Chuck one in.
Just get Klopp to get one of his brown envelopes out, put a stash in it, and fourth official will have it, and it'll be fine. Yeah. Of course. 1-1 in the under-21s game. That is good. Earthy with the goal. Nice finish. So some final thoughts, Paul, before we go.
Yeah, well, look, it'd be a good game. We said about Europe, and Gary Neville said, "Oh, Liverpool can't be competing for the for the league." Well, perhaps they can't, but his reason was, because they got the Europa League. Well, I cannot believe he said that, because I think you can go through this Europa League into later stages, and like they done last night, 11 changes. This isn't a team who were playing Champions League football, so I think Europa League is a better chance. So it's a good start from Liverpool, good start from West Ham. Bring on Sunday, and let's see some goals. And let's get one thing straight. That game's not going to finish 0-0, is it?
No, it won't. No, it won't, because Moyes may well come and park the bus, but we are not going to park the bus and defend and not concede. That is for sure. But we will see how things go up at Anfield on Sunday. But until then, I will join you on Sunday here for a live build-up show to react to team news, where we're hoping Jarrod Bowen is going to pass a late fitness test.
That's interesting. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, he's picked up a little bit of a virus, and he was unavailable last night. He will be facing a late fitness test, and that would be a big blow if he's not there. But hopefully Bowen's there. But if not, I think Kudus, who played on Thursday night, was excellent. I think could slot into there. He's definitely one to watch. But let's hope all things align well. And you never know what might happen. But if we lose, don't go on to meltdown, people. Please don't meltdown. But Paul, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
And you, Jake, and of course, keep up the wonderful, wonderful work. You're doing a fantastic job, as all your viewers and subscribers obviously see anyway.
Thank you very much for that, Paul. We'll see you soon. We're here on West Ham. If you enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Brilliant, Paul. Cheers.